Good afternoon. This is Aaron with Transformed by His Truth. I'm going to do a video today about Israel and going into Rafa, which they've been warning that they're going to do and have been giving people time to get out of there so that they don't have to be eliminated during the attack on Hamas. I don't know any other country that warns people that they're going to attack so that the innocent civilians can find places to hide and leave the area. Israel is the only country that does that, and yet they're still looked upon as the enemy in this whole thing, as the bad guy. I'm going to read this article and hopefully we'll answer some questions about that. It's called Israel Says It's Poised to Move on Rafah. It's from Reuters. Israel's military is poised to evacuate Palestinian civilians from Rafah and assault Hamas holdouts in the southern Gaza Strip city, a senior Israeli defense official said on Wednesday, despite international warnings of humanitarian catastrophe. A spokesperson for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government said Israel was moving ahead with a ground operation but gave no timeline. The defense official said Israel's defense ministry had bought 40,000 tents, each with the capacity for 10 to 12 people, to house Palestinians relocated from Rafah in advance of an assault. Again, I ask you, who else does this to their enemy? Who else gives the innocents time to get out of the country or the area before it's going to be attacked? People don't realize that Israel doesn't want to destroy the Palestinian people. They want to destroy the Hamas, Hezbollah, and Iranian leadership because they're the ones that are putting their own people in harm's way. They're the ones who put their hideouts underneath schools and hospitals. Israel's the one who's trying to help people before they have to go in and try to take out these bad people. Video circulating online appeared to show rows of square white tents going up in Khan Yunis, a city of some 5 kilometers, 3 miles from Rafah. Reuters could not verify the video, but reviewed images from satellite company Maxar Technologies, which showed tent camps on Khan Yunis land that had been vacant weeks ago. An Israeli government source said Netanyahu's war cabinet planned to meet in the coming 2 weeks to authorize civilian evacuations, expected to take around a month. The defense official, who requested anonymity, told Reuters that the military could go into action immediately, but was waiting a green light from Netanyahu. Rafah, which abuts the Egyptian border, is sheltering more than 1 million Palestinians who fled the half-year-old Israeli offensive through the rest of Gaza and say the prospect of fleeing yet again is terrifying. I have to make a decision whether to leave Rafah because my mother and I are afraid of an invasion that could happen suddenly and we won't get time to escape, said Aya, 30, who has been living temporarily in the city with her family in a school. Well, you're being warned right now and giving places to go, so why are you saying you wouldn't know where to go and you wouldn't have time to escape? This doesn't make any sense. If it wasn't biblical prophecy coming to pass that the world's going to go against Israel, I would be pulling my hair out. She said that some families recently moved to a refugee camp in coastal Al-Mawasi, but their tents caught fire when the shell tanks landed nearby. Where do we go? You go where the tents are going to be put up by Israel. That's where you go. Israel, which launches its war to annihilate Hamas after the Islamic group's October 7th attacks on Israel towns, says Rafah is home to 4 Hamas combat battalions reinforced by thousands of retreating fighters, and it must defeat them to achieve victory. Hamas was hit hard in the northern sector. It was also hit hard in the center of the Strip, and soon it will be hit hard in Rafah too. Brigadier General Itzhak Cohen, commander of Israel's 162nd Division operating in Gaza, told Khan Public TV. But Israel's closest ally, Washington, has called on it to set aside plans for an assault and says Israel can combat Hamas fighters there by other means. What other means? Trying to do sanctions and stuff doesn't work. They're not. The problem is the Palestinian leadership and the terrorists do not want to live side by side with Israel. They want the elimination of the Israeli people, and they want to take over their land. Egypt won't even take back refugees because how much do they care about these people that they're not even going to let them come across the border to seek refuge before Israel warns of their strike? We could not support a Rafah ground operation without an appropriate, credible, executable humanitarian plan, precisely because of the complications for delivery of assistance. David Satterfield, U.S. Special Envoy for Middle East Humanitarian Aid, issued, told reporters on Tuesday. Does America do that? We don't go in and tell people when we're going to bomb them. We just bomb them. Like I said, if it wasn't biblical that these countries are supposed to come against Israel, I would just be going nuts. We continue discussions with Israel on what we believe are alternate ways of addressing a challenge which we recognize, which is Hamas military presence in Rafah. Egypt says it will not allow Gazans to be pushed across the border onto its territory. Cairo has warned Israel against moving on Rafah, which would lead to massive human massacres, losses, and widespread destruction, its state information services said. Aside from Israel trying to warn these people to get out, the destruction that would come is necessary to get rid of the terrorist leadership. Israel has withdrawn most of its ground troops from southern Gaza this month, but kept up airstrikes and conducted raids into areas its troops abandoned. Efforts by the United States, Egypt, and Qatar to broker an extended ceasefire in time to head off an assault on Rafah have so far failed. Yeah, no kidding. Gaza medical officials say that 34,000 people have been killed in Israel's military campaign, with thousands more bodies feared under the rubble. You're talking about Gazan terrorists telling you what the amount of dead people are. I'm sorry, but I don't believe them. It's sad and it's unfortunate that war brings casualties, but there are a lot less casualties because Israel warns these people before they attack to be able to get out. Hamas killed 1,200 people and abducted 253 on October 7th, according to Israeli tallies. Of those hostages, 129 remain in Gaza, Israeli officials say. More than 260 Israeli troops have been killed in ground fighting since October 20th, the military says. H.A. Hellier, a senior associate fellow in international security studies at the Royal United Services Institute, said he expected the assault on Rafah sooner rather than later, because Netanyahu is under pressure to meet his stated objectives of rescuing hostages and killing all the Hamas leaders. The invasion of Rafah is unavoidable because of the way he has framed all of this, he said, but it will not be possible for everyone to leave the city, so if he sends the military into Rafah, there are going to be a lot of casualties. Like I said, the fact that they're waiting and providing tents for these people to come and live in until they can return after the war is over is humanitarian. I don't know what else they want Israel to do. She's trying to survive. She's trying to not be wiped out by the terrorists of Iran, Hezbollah, and Hamas. And they're the only country that's been giving warnings and telling people to get out before they bomb them so there won't be as many humanitarian casualties. So anyway, that's what's supposed to be going on right now. I do hope that a lot of the Palestinians that are in Rafah do find shelter and get out of there and stay in the tents that Israel is providing. But shame on Egypt for not being willing to help. Even most of those Palestinians are probably Egyptian, and they won't even take their own people back. So who's the bad guy here? Who are the bad guys really in this picture? That's what needs to be thought about, is who are the bad guys and who are the ones that are trying to keep people from being killed. So anyway, that's the end of this video. Maybe I'll be back later with another video depending on what's going on with the wartime situation. Thank you for coming to my channel and have a good day.